presented by Pay Me No Mind Sports and Entertainment. I appreciate all the new subscriptions or subscribers. And if you dig the way that any of the information is being presented, discussed, analyzed, reviewed, recap, previewed, so forth, hit the like button, leave a comment. I definitely welcome any contributions to the discussion. Again, I don't know some of this stuff. I don't know all the answers to. I'm just trying to create discussion and see if other people, if there are any other like minds out there and whatnot. So that's that. Also, with this, what I'm getting ready to talk about with some of this business stuff, boxing business stuff that I'm getting ready to talk about. Sometimes check the posts that I have on here that are just they're just posts. They're not video posts, because I have some other thoughts on what I'm getting ready to discuss right now. But I want to talk about Canelo Alvarez and his BJ Saunders fight. They've agreed to terms in May. This goes to what I was talking about yesterday with Adrian Broner and how they move their business over there, or how he conducts his business. It's a stark contrast. I'm not saying who's right and who's wrong. You can make the decision on that. I also want to talk about something that I just became aware of in boxing. Was right in front of me all this time. I saw the three people that just checked in and left. Like, damn, I guess I had to be talking about something really spreading some lies. Maybe people would have stuck around, but okay. But it's with the WBA super title and the WBC franchise belt, the same damn thing. And we hear so much frustration and consternation about the franchise tag, but the super title has been here all along, and it's currently holding up progress at welterweight with Manny Pacquiao, if you look at it that way. And then also some phenomenal boxing news with a couple of recent brands making deals with some boxing people. One, Ryan Garcia, that completely changes the game, and also kind of speaks to what I was talking about with Adrian Broner. It also helps speak to what Devin Haney is trying to do, or has mentioned that he was trying to do previously, but the streets, quote unquote, kind of pull Haney into not being able to get this opportunity that Ryan Garcia has gotten. Yeah, I was talking. So let's talk about that first then, D Branch. I was gonna mention you. Actually, I texted you the other day pointing out that Floyd Mayweather Jr. had the WBA super welterweight title for years and never defended it. And that's 154 pounds, but he had this belt for years and never did nothing with it. And I texted you the other day, like, check that out on BoxRec. Well, I just looked into it further, and I was looking at a couple of other things that had me kind of, it clicked for me. But one thing is Claressa Shields' upcoming fight on March 5th. The WBA super title for the super welterweight division is going to be up for grabs when she faces Marie-Eve Dicaire. This is the first time that this super title has been up for grabs for a woman's bout in the 99-year history of the WBA. But essentially, this super version of the title is the same thing as the WBC franchise tag. And I'm not going to take all the credit for this, that I just stumbled upon this, but I saw this in that article like 2 weeks ago. And then last night I was listening to another podcast. Shout out to the Rope a Dope radio podcast with Chris Carlson. And he reiterated the same thing, that, the WBA super version is the same thing as the franchise title. That's the reason why Floyd Mayweather never defended that title. He actually won the WBA super title, super welterweight, when he fought Miguel Cotto in 2012. Comes back, in 2013 and fights Canelo Alvarez. That super 154-pound belt was up for grabs in that fight. We all know he washed, he damn near won every round against Canelo Alvarez, except on the controversial card. Was that Adelaide Bird, or was it that other lady, Ross? Anyway, but and then he never defended it again. Nobody else had that belt until like 2017 when Ears Larry Lara picks it up. So again, we hear all of this talk about the WBC franchise title with Canelo Alvarez and who else has it? Lopez, CJ Ross. With Teofimo Lopez, the WBA super title is the same thing. As a matter of fact, I think in beating Lomachenko, Lopez also picks up the lightweight super version of the WBA title. So that's just something that I just noticed in looking at this stuff. So what I wanted to say with Canelo Alvarez and BJ Saunders, what I was talking about yesterday, for anybody who had an issue with me or would say that I was criticizing Adrian Broner in turning down a fight or dismissing a potential fight with Regis Prograis, this is what I'm talking about with maintaining interest, enthusiasm, and buzz towards boxing. And for me, for Adrian Broner to just come right out and say, to just kill that whole, any notion of why would I fight him? What does he do for me? He does a lot for you, actually. He makes you climbing into the ring relevant in a way that not many other fights can make you relevant. When you're in a division where the four titles are across the street with Top Rank and Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor being the two unified champions. So sitting here looking at this situation, Broner knows he can't beat him. So he just admits that. But what I'm saying is, even if you don't want to fight him, why would you speak negatively of a potential big fight with you when, on the other hand, Regis Prograis is all excited about that fight, knowing that he's locked out of the championship picture as well? So I'm just saying, looking at Canelo Alvarez and BJ Saunders, yeah, we don't like this. Like I said, everyone's favorite fight against Avni Yildirim at the end of February, but don't focus on that. Canelo is going out here and getting ahead of the issue and saying, don't focus on that fight. That's just business. Here you go in May. I'm going to fight a unification fight against BJ Saunders, which is, I mean, some of us still have a problem with that in a way, but at least it is kind of atoning, in an attempt to atone for something that, some people are going to have a valid issue with. So like I said, it's just how you want to go out here and manage your career and not engage in behavior that that hurts boxing and that kills interest in boxing. Like I said, here it is, Adrian Broner is getting ready to fight somebody named Giovanni Santiago or something. What is that? But like I said, most of us understand you've been out of the ring for 2 years or whatever, no wins since 2017 or whatever. We with you on this. But coming out of that fight, man, put something out there for people to be interested in. Do you think Canelo will work with Eddie Hearn beyond the 2-fight deal? Probably for the right price. For the right price, something might be possible. But the fact is, Canelo and Saunders is going to be a 3-belt fight. The WBO, the WBC, and the WBA. Smart money would say, I'm going to go over here and face Caleb Plant. If he wins Saturday, you fight him at the end of the year for the undisputed championship that Canelo stated was his goal. That's what I'm saying with a lot of cats, man, especially over on PBC. Like, they don't even talk about goals. They don't even talk about what the outlook is. I want to do a big event. I want a big fight. The only one that really can do it, like you just said, was viable. Errol Spence Jr. is one of the few cats out there that really can set out here to go put an event together, and it'd be worth his risk. It'd be worth his time. Now, we're not getting the fight that we all want in Spence and Crawford, but to go try to make a fight with Canelo Alvarez, that's still good business. The next thing that I was going to move on to, it's kind of tied into this. I just read on Boxing Scene that Ryan Garcia just signed a deal with Gatorade. Again, Devin Haney last year was on a couple of videos talking about, he didn't want to get into all of the profanity. He didn't want to get into all of the trash talk. He didn't want to be associated with all the street aspect of boxing. He said he didn't feel like he should need to do all of that stuff just for him to be buzzworthy, for him to be generating a buzz and have a following. And this is part of the situation. When you are out here, the people wilding out quite often, and look at their situations. With the exception of, Gervonta Davis has had a couple of issues. He still has a pretty bright star. But a lot of these guys don't have these type of opportunities to enter into deals with somebody like a Gatorade. And I just think this is good for boxing. These are commercials that will be on during other sports. Somebody else right now just told Latoris Harrison a couple of weeks ago that Fernando Tatis is a young player for the San Diego Padres who has a Gatorade spot right now that's getting plenty of play, along with Serena for that Bolt 24 or whatever. So, shout out to Ryan Garcia. It's hard for me to sit here and be sympathetic or empathetic, compassionate about people sitting here talking about how the game does you wrong, how the purses aren't right, how I'm getting screwed out of this. Like, you're an independent contractor or, a standalone business. Like, if you're doing things out here that aren't leading to additional opportunities for you, additional sources of income and whatnot, you kind of got to look in the mirror and look at what you're doing. I mean, if you're fighting on any of these platforms, Fox, PBC on Fox, PBC on Showtime, on Top Rank on ESPN, hell, anybody but DAZN, really. I mean, if you can go out here and put yourself in a favorable light and invite somebody in and to get some meetings and to go in there and be able to align yourself with any of these situations, that's on you, and you should be shooting for that. You should be trying to make that happen. Now, I know Garcia, from the article that I read by Jake Donovan, he went back in like 2016 or something. He said he did something on his Instagram page and had a bottle of Gatorade in it, or he at least tagged Gatorade to the video, and that kind of put him on their radar because they watch all of this stuff. Q ratings, impressions, mentions, hashtags, they watch all of this stuff. So if you go back and demonstrate that time and time again, maybe you get a situation like Ryan Garcia is getting ready to get involved in. Lastly, the other one that was out there was a couple of weeks ago. It was another article that was out there about Robert Garcia having a new deal with Adidas. Now, it's a couple of athletes or a couple of boxers in Ohio, lower level boxers who've been doing business with Adidas for the past 2-3 years. But I was like, every time I went to the website, no boxing gear I couldn't even support them and buy a t-shirt or, get some Adidas hand wraps or something or some whatever was marketed as boxing. There wasn't even a boxing category. This deal with Robert Garcia, now they're actually going to have Adidas gloves, training apparel, I guess, and it's going to be on the website now. So again, these types of moves help raise the profile of boxing. And again, I don't know what Garcia is doing. I know he has whatever the setup and what is that, Oxnard, where he runs his camp and has all the fighters there. He feeds all these guys and he's training, a ton of different fighters who are very active, and some of them, are rising prospects and whatnot. So I'm just saying, man, I got to tip my cap to the individuals who are helping to raise the profile of the sport and going out here and making deals that kind of move it away. I know it's only incrementally, but to move it away from being a niche sport and getting some eyes on it. Nobody has a problem. I mean, nobody is notices that Conor McGregor another combat sport guy is able to own a company and buy the logo that's in the middle of the ring for some of the last few high-profile fights that we've had, you know, that's like a $5 million, $10 million, $15 million cash expenditure to get your logo in the middle of the ring on these pay-per-view events or some of these big events. You know, anywhere from $7 million to probably, you know, the mid-teens. Now, we all know he got that boost from, you know, $100 million, $80 million fight against Floyd that not many fighters can get. But I'm just saying, again, some of these fighters have the opportunity and should be making moves to put them in those types of positions to make it, at the end of the day, when you hang them up, you maximize all of your earnings. That's all I'm saying. Now, again, it's not that easy for everybody. You know, Anthony Joshua, he's with, I think, Gatorade and Under Armour. But he has a whole continent or a whole country over there that he represents and doesn't have some of the issues that some of the black fighters have in his country in terms of not having those metrics, those impressions, those clicks, those hashtags, viewership numbers, ticket sales. You know, not everybody can get all of that. So it's a challenge, and I'm really not knocking everybody. I'm just saying, you know, if some individuals are able to do it, you got to take a look at what they're doing and maybe consider what you're doing or not doing. Floyd Mayweather showed you. And again, it's another show or two out there, a channel or two that I was on. And we mentioned the discussion went around too. Yeah, you know, the problem right now is a lot of fighters are trying to do what Floyd did in fight 38 to 50 or 38 to 48. It's a lot of fighters trying to do that after fight 22, but they're not taking any of the risks and the chances that Floyd took, you know, from fight number 22 to fight number 38. Secondly, there aren't a lot of individuals out there for you to take those chances against. I understand that there isn't a Oscar De La Hoya out here that you can go be the B-side to him and get that bump from him. But anyway, I'm getting all out of my conversation. That's all. I was just gonna talk some business. I'm not saying I'm wrong or right. I'm just throwing the information out there. You make up your own mind. It's still gonna be some cats who think, you know, Adrian Broner is quote unquote a leading man in boxing. I don't know if I would agree with that, but you know, some people, you know, they have that connection to certain people, and they believe what they want to believe. Anyway, bite down boxing. Don't let them count you out. Pay me no mind. Sports and entertainment. It's the weekend. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Do me a favor, check out my It's Always Personal podcast over on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And you know, until next time, I'm out. One.